The time is the most important thing, because obviously if you haven't started, start now, right? Or start as soon as you can.
Yeah.
But you'll never get that time back. And that time is what really creates the compound effect and all the benefits, right? So it's just really how soon can I get in? Because people are always going to need a place to live.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where Kyle Curtin takes you on an extraordinary journey alongside renowned multifamily real estate experts from every corner of the United States. We teach you how to harness the power of real estate investing and witness the transformation of your wealth building strategy. Let's create wealth together.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 114 of the Creating Wealth Podcast. Today, we have the great pleasure of chatting with Jason Goldfarb. Jason is an absolutely phenomenal local investor and agent with Cameron Real Estate. He is also a founder of the Goldweather Investments team and Gold Path Real Estate team as well. Jason,
Awesome.
What's going on, my friend? How are you?
That was a great intro, man. It's like you've done this before.
we might have did this once before.
Yeah. What'd you say, episode 114?
Yes. Yep.
Well, congrats on that, my man. That's huge. And in and of itself, podcast episode 114. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to share a little bit about my story, answer some questions, and have a little bit of fun today. Why not?
Thank you so much, brother. It means a lot. It's definitely been a really fun ride, and yeah, I'm excited to have you on again.
Yeah. Well, and that's that little backstory is we did this before, but we had some technical issues back about towards the beginning of the year, and I guess the footage got lost.
Mm-hmm.
The lost footage. Someday we might find that. There's some nuggets in there too.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, so Jason, let's jump into your story, man. Tell us kind of the superhero backstory of you. What kind of got you into it and everything, and we'll just jump in.
Absolutely. So just a little bit about me. I'm Jason Goldfarb, as you said. I'm with Cameron. I got my real estate retail team, Gold Path Real Estate Group. And also, I'm partners with Mike Weatherby. I believe you had him on at one point with the Goldweather Investments. That's our investment business. And I'm 45 years old. I grew up in Revere, Massachusetts.
Revere,
yeah. Hey. And I live in Winthrop now with my wife. We have a dog, no kids. Some people call us dinkwads, which is double income, no kids with a dog. But... if you haven't heard of that. And I grew up in a family pizza business. And if your family has a pizza business, you're in the pizza business. And I thought, as I was sweating and working and grinding, and it was fun, don't get me wrong. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And I bumped into real estate, like some, by mistake and by accident, a happy accident.
Yes.
And I'm sweating, I'm killing myself, I'm grinding, I'm thinking, what could I do just to get income and be able to go out after work and not smell like food or have to take a shower? Because I used to work late shifts. So I'm like, let me try to switch my schedule around. I got my real estate license. That's back in 2001. And I bumped into my first investment deal that same year. And kind of the rest is history. And it's been a long many years of doing it the wrong way. And the past 5 or 6 years, I say I have it really dialed in. So, at the end of the day, if you never quit, keep on going with it, you'll get there, hopefully quicker than I did. But everyone's journey is different. And that's really kind of how I got started. And if you want me to tell you a little bit about my first deal, this one, people love this. So I'm working in the pizza business, right? The pizza delivery driver says, hey, you want to buy my house? And at the time, you could get a loan like you wouldn't believe, Kyle. I'm telling you, I tell people about these loans, like, no way. It was called NINA, which means no income, no asset verification loan. So it was a little bit of a deal. You know, as agents, investors, we know a little bit about, hey, how much is that worth? So I knew it was a little bit of a deal, not necessarily a deal I would do today, but we all have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And I got that with like little or no money down. It was a single family with an in-law apartment, accessory apartment. So I cash flowed throughout that deal with little or no money into it, right? And then upon exit, I got a big fat check for like $80,000. And here's the mistake new investors don't do. I proceeded to buy a Corvette and go on vacation for 3 months. But but at the end of the day, it's all fun. And that was a little bit about where I started in my first deal.
Of course, man. That's absolutely beautiful. You know what I mean? And it's crazy like how it transpired, you know what I mean? And kind of like just how it kind of fell into the universe, you know what I mean? And things just kind of drastically changed from there. So tell us a little bit about. Oops, sorry.
It took a lot of like fear to get over, because one thing I didn't mention is it was 2001.
Yep.
And I had it under agreement that summer or whatnot, but the closing date was the week of September 11th.
Yeah.
And we all know history tells us what happened that Monday. My closing was a Wednesday. And I could have easily, it was a friend of mine like that was selling me the house. I could have easily said, you know what, man, I don't, because no one knew what was going to happen after. Real estate turned out amazing after, but you didn't really know.
Yeah.
But I pushed through the fear to get on the other side of that. So that's a little bit of maybe luck, because I could have easily not done that deal.
Heck yeah, man. I love it, and everything definitely, happens perfectly, you know what I mean? And, pushing through to, continue past the fear and everything of doing that deal. And how does that translate kind of to the next one, and kind of catching the bug and kind of rolling forward and keeping rolling?
Yeah. So that's a great way to go into it. So obviously the way I found that deal was kind of by accident, right? I wasn't really looking for deals. And after I did that deal, I didn't have systems or processes to really discover off-market investment deals. So I really focused on my agent business, and I really did well with that for a long time. And it wasn't until years later that I started getting involved again with the investment side of the business. And at that time, you could find deals through auctions, MLS. You could actually find deals relatively easy. It was a different market than today. So when I talk about this today, it really isn't that relevant, but deals were easy to come by. But what was hard is getting the money to do them.
Oh.
So no matter what market we're ever going to be in, and I hear people say, oh, I'm going to wait till it's easy to find deals, or I'm going to wait till it's easy to find money. It's never going to be easy, but it's worth it. So no matter what, like people say to me, oh, I'm going to wait till the interest rates come down. Well, the prices, it's never, no matter what. And I can promise you this, people that look like rock stars that bought years ago, that look like, oh my God, at the time, if you ask them if they're really honest, they're going to tell you there was no clear green path at the time for me. That was an awesome rocket star deal. At the time, I'm sure most people were like, oh, should I do it? This is nervous. So no matter what, it's never going to be like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I'm doing right now. You never 100% know. But as you go along, you start learning, right? Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things I can give as advice for anyone in the business, whether new or experienced, is you got to just keep on learning. You got to keep on learning and networking and growing.
Of course, man. I love that so much, and it's so true. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely those beliefs of like, oh, like everybody's looking for deals. Like I'll just, wait until things die down a little bit, or, oh, the rates went from, 2.6 to like 7. Like, I'm going to wait until they drop down like 4 or 5 and then I'll get into it. And you're going to be waiting a long time, man.
Yeah. I mean, think about this. Who would have thought someone would look like a rock star just a year ago or two, whatever, that paid $100,000 over and got an interest rate at 2.7%. Yeah. But meanwhile, they're cash flowing,
Absolutely.
So So it's just now, and who would have thought, like with the rates at, what are we at, like 6% now, that the market is still crazy hot and it's hard to even buy traditionally.
Yeah.
So
it's wild, man. It really is, you know, and I was definitely in that spot in 2021 when I bought Lemonster. I bought it for 2.6. And like, you know, there's a couple of things that, you know, I was a little hesitant on when it came to the numbers. I'm like, oh, you know, it's a decent one to start off, but, you know, definitely not the best that I could find. And now, you know, I've since pulled a home equity line out of there, leveraged that to invest in something else. Like it's, you know, get one of the units off the ground to cash flow a pretty reasonable amount. And it's like, you know, I'm like, I wish I did that intentionally. You know, like if I told you like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna be able to pull like a equity line out in, you know, 14 months and like all this crazy stuff, like I'd be lying through my teeth. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but now you have a little bit of knowledge that that's possible, right?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, you know, even with our investment side of the business, a little story of how we turned one unit into a projected 24 units in only 3 years, right? And this is where like people go, wow, are you serious? They think some of these stories are like made up, but I mean, off-market marketing, right? You know, about three years ago or so, we found a deal in Winthrop where it was a fix and flip, which gave us some capital to keep on going, right? And then we found a deal in Lynn, a single-family rental property. Now, you don't typically want to buy a single family for a rental, right? But sometimes there's luck involved, and I actually had my wife drive by the property and scope it out for us. And she said, man, those people in there look crazy. They got a pit bull. You're going to have to buy it with them in there. I wouldn't do it. So I told my partner, I'm like, I don't think we want this one. Just throw in a low ball offer just because, you know, they wanted an offer. And I'm like, all right, let's give them an offer. But like with this situation, and they took it. They took the offer. So technically that was a rental we closed on. And we found another investor to sell it to after we closed on it. So we had a rental property for a short time. And are you familiar with what's called a 1031 exchange?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So we took there was a big profit, and we took that and turned that into 9 units. Pretty much, we put a little more of our capital on top of it. And then we turned that 9 units after about 1 year into 16 units. We went from a Salem, Mass 9-unit building to a 16-unit Haverhill portfolio. And now we're in the process of taking part of that portfolio and going to a more stabilized 10-unit in Methuen. And we anticipate another 14 units with the rest of it. So the power of real estate is really amazing. But it takes some knowledge and it takes some effort and energy, but it's absolutely worth it.
Absolutely, man. It's crazy. And like there's I know somewhere in there was the picture that like you and Mike posted of like the keys and everything with you guys, like the smiles that are this big. And I remember that picture, man. I'm like, damn, that's like real estate in a nutshell right there, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
trading keys for keys is the goal. And like that was when we exited out of the 9-unit and went into the 16-unit. And we've owned that less than a year now, about 9 months or so. But we've been stabilizing that and getting ready and making the exit plan and going in. And now we're doing something called a reverse 1031 exchange.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't want to go crazy technical and advanced, but basically we're buying the asset before we close on the exit properties, and there's a time frame to do it. But I mean, as you do this, you don't even know what you don't know. Yeah. But the tax benefits, the appreciation, the debt pay down, I mean, it's what makes real estate so powerful. And the time is the most important thing, because obviously if you haven't started, start now, right? Or start as soon as you can. Yeah. But you'll never get that time back. And that time is what really creates the compound effect and all the benefits, right? So it's just really how soon can I get in? Because people are always going to need a place to live.
100%, man. And that's definitely one of the really beautiful things about real estate, you know, and like even going down the realm of, you know, like guys, like the really common way to get started, you like house hacking, like 3.5% down, 2-family, 3-family, 4-family, whatever. Like there's a 1.5 million ways to get started, right? Like you could, do a flip for your first project like Jason did. You could house hack, there's a lot of different ways to kind of break in. But the important thing is breaking in, and to Jason's point, like as soon as you can and just get that thing rolling, because time's always going, so.
And my first one was like kind of a combination house hack flip, because I bought that with a regular conventional style loan. Yeah. I bought it as an owner occupied loan, and with like 3.5% down. Right. Yeah. I would have never been able to get started. So the first few deals you do aren't going to be great, but they get you what you need. They get you going, they get you the experience.
Yeah.
And just knowing like, hey, no matter what happens, this is going to be all right, or have a good idea. But most of the time, what could happen will happen, and that's even better.
Exactly. I'm right there with you, man. And to be honest with you, like the way that I look at it from the little bit that I've had Lemonster, it's been like 14-ish months. Mm-hmm. But, and yeah, like the tactical, like actual real estate portion of it with like the cash flow and the monetary aspect, great, but the thing that really gets me excited about that property is that I've learned to fish so much in such a short amount of time, from like dealing with certain situations, doing a turnover, learning the dynamic between doing work yourself versus delegating, like, time versus like that, type of thing, like getting slapped around from like water heaters and water, and like you earn stripes fast, like, jump into the space, and yeah, it's
100%, Kyle. I couldn't have said it better. And what you have to remember is, as you go through the process and you get more and more, what got you here won't get you there. Yeah. And what I used to, on my first few, I'd be out there digging flower beds, putting, painting, all that stuff. But then what you realize is you start to realize what's your best use of time. And then you realize there's so many things I could do, but what should my focus be? Some of these I shouldn't maybe doing. And that's really an individual type thing, but you should be doing something. What you should be doing at the beginning is just finding your first deal. Right? Keep it simple. And then after that, you figure out, hey, do I really want to turn this into a business, or do I just want to add this in, sporadically and just add one property per year? I mean, everyone's goals are different, but either way, I think everyone should get involved in real estate in some way in your investing portfolio, right? Whether, and you should obviously have some stocks and things like that too, but real estate's powerful, man.
It absolutely is. And one thing too that I want to stress, man, that is always extremely interesting is, guys, even if you have like, if you work a ton of hours, if you, don't have a ton of time, have a lot of things going on, anybody can invest in real estate. You don't necessarily have to be the landlord. There are ways to passively invest, with operators like Jason and I, like to be able to collaborate on deals, and still feel the effects and get exposure to that asset class in a lot of different ways. You don't necessarily have to be the operator,
Yeah.
So like, there's just a lot of cool.
you make some really great points too, and I was actually going to touch upon that. But at the end of the day, like, let's say you do, and I do, if you're willing to take it on and you're willing to buy your own property, there are thousands of agents out there, and I think it would be the wisest decision to hook up with an agent investor, because right, and there's tons of agents out there that have never bought or sold real estate, don't own real estate, never bought or sold an investment property, and at the end of the day, there's a smaller percentage that have at least bought their own home, right, have done an investment deal. And if I had to choose, and I'm a brand new person, I don't have any idea, and I need someone to help me, who am I going to choose? I want an agent investor with a proven track record, has a team, has experience. They bought and sold their own personal home. There's different emotions with that, as opposed to the investment. They bought and sold investment properties, fix and flips, buy and holds. And I've done all that. So anyone, thinking about that or want to reach out, don't hesitate. And Kyle as well. Kyle has done that. Kyle, you've lived in your property. You've done that. You've got the bumps and bruises. We didn't just read a book, right?
You're right. Yep. Exactly,
So
man.
that's I mean, always align yourself with people that have done it. And same thing about like just getting involved in investing. I'm getting the room, man. I've been doing the circuit. You've been doing it for a while. Is getting out to meetups, getting into the room with people that have done what you want to do, and your vibe, find your tribe, make some connections. I mean, man, the community is phenomenal. But that's all. Obviously, you have to pick and choose. Who you associate with and whatnot. But most are great. But really, your vibe will find your tribe. And that brings me to the next best investment is people as you want to scale.
Yeah. Yep.
And one of the best investments I would say at this point is people. And that's just really the next level. And me and Mike, with our investment side of the business, and I have a great team with the retail side of the business. But everyone trying to keep everyone in their lane of focus so we can all be in what is our best time per hour, right? And what we enjoy and what we're great at, right? So that's really what we've been focusing on and trying not to get too distracted by all the shiny objects and, things out there. But that being said, you do have to learn and you do have to grow because we're in an unprecedented time of after COVID, technology, AI coming out. But what really makes sense,
Right. It's huge, Jason. Absolutely, man. And guys, 100%. Like the power of the proximity. I made an Instagram post about this earlier, or Facebook, I forget, but the power of proximity, of surrounding yourself with the right people, and to Jason's point, exactly, like you can find extremely like-minded people looking to do crazy things, people that have done crazy things already, in a lot of different sectors of the industry through going to meetups, and like it's yeah,
and no matter how, and I've been like kind of like overwhelmed, and I still am sometimes when I'm in the room with some severely high level successful people.
Yep.
I'm almost afraid to talk to them, but they're just people. And like, they love to talk about real estate. Obviously they're there. So again, naturally it's just about relationships, and people are people, and just, your vibe, find your tribe. Sometimes you let people to, show their true colors, and you got to believe them either way, good or bad. Right. So that's something that you have to just really like align yourself with the right people. And same thing like in life, right? With marriage, you want to marry the right person. That's one of the biggest investments and commitments you'll ever make. So, I mean, that's really important.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. And it's really crazy, especially the amount of people in our direct, like that could live a couple streets over from you. Like it's a thing that always blows my mind, man. Like something that I've done for the past couple of years, and accelerated it a lot more recently, and I highly recommend it to you guys, is if you go on Facebook and you go into some of the local investor groups, like MA Real Estate Investors. I want to say there's like 6,000 people in there, or something like that. Yeah, and exactly. And there's a ton of those kind of groups, guys, and like literally just go in there and network. Like shoot people direct messages, tell them like, oh hey, like my name's Jason Goldfarb, like doing all this crazy stuff, like I'd love to connect, and like the amount of relationships that, or I should say the amount of people that respond and are like, hell yeah, dude, like I seen you on Facebook, like like let's chat, like jump on a call with them, like see how you can help them, how they can help you. Like you never know what's gonna happen, and one small kind of proof of concept of that was I just did a 4-family deal, more on the agency side, like I helped a buyer out in Lowell a couple of weeks ago. And the reason that happened was because I met the listing agent through doing that back in January. And he just so happened to send me like an off market that somebody was selling. He just randomly texted me one day. Mm-hmm. And then like the stars aligned, and like one of my buyers saw it and, locked it up, stuff like that. We closed, and it was all through relationships, You
created a lot of wins with that. And that all started with the power of proximity, getting in the room.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, step number one, you're starting out new, there is no better recommendation is just start learning.
Yeah.
Throw it on a podcast. That's great while you're driving. Driving time turn into learning time. And number two, go to your local meetups. Get around. I mean, there's a lot of great ones out there, including with your company, my company. I just did one with Whiteacre, and we were able to go jump on their podcast or in their meetup. And me and Mike did our first meetup not too long ago. Actually, you stopped by. I really appreciate that. But like, no, I mean, and here's the thing, like, we're having fun too, but most of the time what we're doing is simple, boring work. And that's really what we have and stay focused on because we want to have fun. And I think one of your questions you had me is how do you define wealth?
Yes.
And honestly, like, as simple as I can explain this, it's just waking up and being in a good mood and being happy. Yep. No matter where you are on your journey, right? Be grateful for where you're at. I mean, the problems we have are nothing compared to some of the problems most of the world has.
Yeah.
So really, really bringing yourself back to that. And I mean, I'm grateful for the problems I have.
Exactly.
Like my problems are, I have too many deals. How am I going to raise some capital, or what am I going to do with all these deals? Right. Yep. When before, as an investor, just on the investment side or even agent side, is how do I get deals? I need a deal. I need a listing. I need a buyer to work with. And then on the investment side, I need an investment deal, whether it be a wholesale, fix and flip, or buy and hold. And some people have asked me, how do you go about finding off-market properties? Is that something that we should touch upon just a little bit?
I think that's a great idea, Jason. Let's do it.
I mean, most people want to touch upon that. Well, hey, there's two ways to do it, right? Money or time, but most people could get to a little bit of a combination of both. And I'm talking to a gentleman recently in my office who didn't have much money, and he's found 4 deals in a very short period of time. And he has a method and a process of literally driving for dollars, seeing a beat up house, but not just knocking and dropping, skipping it, pulling the number of the owner, right? And the first step is just finding out if they might be interested in selling. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, you're driving down the neighborhood, your area, you see a house that looks rough, stop, knock, and have a printout with your name, number, and hey, well, would you be interested at all in selling your house? You leave it there. He also would mail them and then call them later. Hey, did you get my mailer? Did you get my note? What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
So, I mean, those 3 steps, no money, little money right off the bat, right? What we have found out as our best paid method, and we do 3 right now, direct mail is number 1, pay per click is number 2, and direct text is our 3rd, right? So it takes a lot of money, though, a lot of money to find deals. In the beginning, you need to find a deal or 2 and decide if that is where you want to go. Do you want this to be a business, or do you want this to be just something that I can add into my day-to-day? And how much am I going to be involved?
Yeah.
Hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think one thing too, Jason, is something that you mentioned in there that's super, super important, especially for people just starting off, is how active of a role do you want to have? Like even like direct mail, for example, you know what I mean? Like I've tried a couple different things in the past, of like actually handwriting the letters until my hand falls off and like, licking the envelopes and stuff like that. I've done open letter marketing, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing, guys. You gotta check it out if you haven't. But it's like there's a lot of different ways to do it, right? And kind of talking about or touching back on what we were talking about earlier when it comes to like money versus time, like in delegation, and like, what kind of spot are you in and what kind of spot do you desire to be in? If you maybe don't have as much money, like maybe doing it, like a couple envelopes a day or whatever it is, like doing it by hand, the whole 9 yards. Or maybe if you have a little bit more money, but, you're working overtime at work or whatever the case may be, going on to like an open letter marketing or ballpoint marketing, I believe. I haven't used that one before. But,
yeah. I mean, basically, what you have to do to start is hustle. There's no substitute for hard work.
Yep.
And I had said what got you here doesn't get you there, but as you turn it into a business, that hustle can actually be detrimental in a way, because you have to almost kill the hustler and become a business owner. But it's steps of progression, right? Yeah. And you might never even want to go to that point, but hustle, you'll get some deals, and even 1 or 2 deals, a year could really, really change your life 100%, especially if you start holding.
Yep.
So, and that's the key. And then understanding, like you had just mentioned, doing some paid marketing. People will jump in without even an idea of what to expect. And for us, I mean, it takes about 50 leads to get a deal.
Yep.
And when you direct mail, every letter you send out is not going to produce a lead.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very expensive to get leads, right? Hundreds of dollars just for one lead. And I just said 50 leads to get a deal.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're trying to expand and grow, it makes sense, because, hey, if I'm getting 4 or 5 times per dollar back on my spend, how many times can I do that?
Exactly.
It's not as simple as it sounds, though, because there are diminishing returns, and most people have the ingredients to do this stuff. It's just a matter of really understanding it. If you want to grow, that's the type of things that we train on. And for anyone that really wants to take this to the next level, another thing, like you mentioned, hey, I love real estate. How do I get in with I have money? Can I just put money in? There's so many different places you can place money now with experienced operators like myself. I'm sure you're doing it, where you can get double-digit returns with no energy or effort, just cutting a check, right? And then there's the combination of both, where I do both. And that's really where you grow, because some people I know have money sitting around in bank accounts or 401ks where they don't realize they can self-direct those and get them into real estate with little or no time or energy or effort. It's just really about trusting and knowing good people that are going to protect your money. And that's one of the biggest rules of investing. Is rule number 1, don't lose money. Right? We always want to make money, for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man. And especially, I mean, even too, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, with like the appreciation and like, the markets being so hot, over the past couple of years, generally speaking, like a lot of people have a good amount of equity in their properties, and same exact thing, like there's very easy ways to be able to leverage it, given, like the interest rates are a bit higher, and like, does it make sense versus does it not make sense, whatever. But my point being, like, there's multiple different ways that you might have access to a pretty fair amount of capital, and you just never really thought about it yet, or, never really introduced to it. And there's a lot of ways to skin the cat.
100%. And people don't realize, like, hey, if I pulled some equity out of my owner occupied property, that interest is tax deductible. And there's just so many things that I didn't even know. And you start learning, you're like, wow, most people don't even know this. And they don't teach this in schools. Yeah. This isn't something that, and it's amazing. And the power of getting the tax benefits, the appreciation, right? And when you own rental property, the depreciation. Yeah. And depending on everyone's individual, depending on how your income is coming in and what your tax burden is, I mean, you can offset that. I used to have to write a huge check to the government, because I'm 1099 self-employed. But with the power of real estate, I was able to really cut that down and keep more of the money that we earn. We spend a lot of energy and effort working, and using the legal benefits of the tax law, you absolutely can keep way more money than you think. 100%.
It's a beautiful thing, man. And like, that's a conversation that I love having with people. I mean, I have a very like bare bones, more theory, I guess, than execution for me at the moment where I'm at. But like the conversation around like, like the government heavily incentivizes people that provide suitable housing and business owners, because like in terms of, like the tax code and stuff like that, because like, just think about what happens when the government provides housing, like projects and stuff like that. And like things, sometimes don't always turn out as planned and stuff like that. But It's always extremely interesting.
In addition, when a business is able to hire more employees,
yeah,
right? And where do they get their biggest tax dollar and their biggest income is through income tax. Yep. So of course they're going to incentivize anyone that's going to bring, and it really is a circle, right? Hey, if I can incentivize this business and give them a tax break, and they can hire 5 more people and pay them, so it really does make sense, and what keeps the economy going. And it's just really, most people don't have any idea, don't ever focus on it.
Yeah,
but it's powerful, and you should be asking, how can I get more of that? You know?
Exactly. 100%, man. It's real estate's such a beautiful thing, man. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, we can go down the whole loop, but I mean, it's another conversation. But there's a thing called the Augusta rule. There's cost segregation. There's 1031 standard and reverse. And I've done a lot of these things, actually. So anyone ever has questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to go through reverse 1031 soon, and you get more and more real experience. And it's just huge. And one of the things that I really love doing now is helping others.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it doesn't matter if you have money, but if you have the drive and you're a good person, I'm willing to help you, right? If you have a ton of money, but not a lot of time, and you want to see that grow, you don't want to see that deflate with the inflation that's going on. And it's just because your money right now is deteriorating. It's like getting eaten, right? Just to be able to protect it, right? Yeah. Never mind, you know, yeah, you can earn some great interest on it and do interest rate arbitrage like you were saying. But there are ways in short term, really protected ways, double-digit interest on that stuff. Longer term stuff, you can, you know, I've seen returns in the 20s and even 30% with doing nothing, just passive. But investing in people, I think that's one of our greatest things. And that's why I love networking and meeting like-minded people like yourself. It's just, and we can't have these conversations with people, normal people. Yeah. I don't know, not normal. I don't say we're abnormal, but I mean, the real estate community definitely is something else, right?
Yeah, it is.
You know, there's a lot of people that will come out and think, oh my God, these people can just make money and not work. Well, that's the furthest thing from the truth. Yeah. Does take a lot of work, does take a lot of energy and effort. But I look at it like this, man. It's project-based, though. You put in severe hard work, focused work, and you can set yourself up to the point where you don't have to work. Yeah. But you have to put in the work. There's no way around that.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%, man. You know, it's definitely an incredibly crazy thing. We're definitely a very unique bunch, and that's the beauty of it too, man. Like you said, is just helping people out. And I look at it as like just kind of continuing like the circle of life, like the Lion King or something like that. But you know, like you start off your journey, you start to learn things, build some relationships, and then you continue, you know, as you climb up the mountain, you're, you know, extending your reach and bringing people up with you. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, just from a couple standpoints of, you know, one, I mean, making the world a better place in terms of like, you know, showing people that this stuff is possible, being able to give them, you know, returns or like access to deals, whatever the case may be, helping them, you know, if they're other agents and stuff, like helping them get their business going, like change things. Like there's so much of a growth and development impact, you know, from so many different ways. And it's an awesome thing, man, you know. And like, I mean, the other part of it too is like, you never know who you're going to work with in the future. Like when some random deal comes up, something randomly gets texted to you one day, like you just never know, you know. And
just like, you know, your story about just meeting someone that was able to bring a deal that you could put together, right? Yep. So for instance, if there's someone newer and they're not sure if it's a deal or not, like that's something that we can talk about, and I can educate them on what a deal is and what isn't.
Yep.
And if it is, you know, someone who can bring me an opportunity that I can help them, absolutely will. They may not be in the position to purchase that property or renovate it and bring it to full profit, but if they bring a great deal, I have the team in place that could do that. and then we can enjoy and split the profits just because of their contribution, right?
Yeah.
There's one way, and that's with no money, right? And then the other way is be like, all right, maybe they have money, they can get involved in the middle type of way. Hey, how can I get involved, invest some money and put in some work? And then we can maybe go on the hunt together, or completely passively. So don't think that you can't get involved. And even if you're not ready today, definitely put yourself in the rooms, get around the right people, or just at least listen to the podcast. Listen to a podcast like this and others. It's always good to listen to local and the national stuff. And I just can't, I mean, obviously we're all smiling and people are like, oh, those real estate people, they're on something. I mean, what we're on is freedom, dude. We're on freedom. We're on fun. I don't want to work the rest of my life. I want, and you asked, one of the other questions is, what's your ultimate goal, man? I would say, listen, no matter where you're at, and sometimes we start, like I said, I started by accident. I found this by accident. If you can start with the end in mind, right? And you can break it down, what's your ultimate goal? You can really reverse engineer that. And it's just really amazing what you can do. And I think a lot of our goals is to get to the point of passive and not have to work. I think as long as we're willing, able, and to work, we will want to do it, but not have to do it, right?
Yeah.
If I don't have to go and grind and hit a clock and do that 9 to 5, man, I haven't had a normal 9 to 5, and I can't remember how long.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man, is even like, I've had some thought around this, especially recently, you know, like everybody talks about, you know, like the financial freedom. It's like, you know, like that huge end goal and everything. Yeah. I mean, from, you know, being able to free yourself from, you know, obligations that tied you down in the past and things like that. But that's the thing, man, is like, exactly to your point, Jason, like most of us, like, we're not just going to sit on a beach for, you know, 20 years after that and be like, yeah, like things are great. You know, like we're going to keep like building stuff, you know, because it's fun as shit, you know, and like
fun. And I think it is fun. And you become really great friends with people, right? Yeah. Really great friends, not just the business part of it, but this business creates those relationships. It's a lifestyle. And it creates a lifestyle, even the people outside of your business and your friends and family, like, I can take people on vacations, and I can do things that I want. I'm able to do and contribute back to the community. And that doesn't, you know, that's why the financial part of it's important, to create that time freedom. And when I'm in, and I'm in the rooms and masterminds with the higher level people, make no mistake about it, their most important thing is time, not money. Yeah, the money is important, but being able to control their time to a T, like who I spend time with, what I do, what I have to do. Do I spend more time doing what I like to do or have to do, right? And that's really the end of the rainbow. That's the goal for most. And I love not only doing that for myself, but helping people do that too. Because once you get the bug and you're like, oh my God, you realize most people aren't going to do this. There's only very few people that are actually, and you can show everyone this, and but most people won't actually go down and put that effort in. Yeah. So when you find people that do, the like-minded people, and like realize, hey, the goal is to get free, and this isn't going to be forever. You don't have to put this type of work in forever, but man, is it worth it? And the time thing, like I was just saying, like, don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait, because that compounding over time, you know, and I'm certain that people are going to look back today and say, I wish I bought that at some point in the future. 100%. Exactly. You know, so, I mean, anything else you really want to talk about? I'm sure people, you know, don't want us to go on way too long here, but I'm willing to stay as long as it makes sense. Because, you know, me and you could probably talk for hours and hours.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's not that often that we really get this, because even when we go into like mastermind situations or meetup situations, it's tough to have a conversation like this, you know?
You're right. You're totally right, man. I am curious, Jason, a tiny bit off topic, but kind of sort of tied in. I noticed that you guys have been traveling a decent amount, like going to different like mastermind events and stuff like that. I'd love to hear how that's been going, man. I see you guys all over the place. I'm like, yeah, let's go, boys. You know, like,
yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest, right? It's fun, but we wouldn't do that if it wasn't an investment in our business. We're taking time traveling, doing red eyes. I mean, spending time away from our business and family. It's stressful. It's work. It's more work than fun, but obviously we're going to take advantage and have fun when we're out there.
Yeah.
That's what gets us in the room with like-minded individuals from across the country who are operating 7, 8, and 9-figure businesses that will blow our minds, like even us, right? And that is a huge investment, and we can point to an ROI on that of not only our time, but our money, significant amount of money to join these high-level masterminds.
Yeah.
100% worth it, but I don't recommend doing that in the beginning until you have a little bit of a base. You can get a lot of that without investing a ton of money, right? With our local meetups first. Right? Get around people like me, or I just went down to Natick. I don't know if you're familiar with Ennis and Whiteacre, but they have a community there. And, you know, you want to get with people that are, you know, a step, 2 steps, 3 steps above you, right? And you're willing to help people a step below you, 2 steps below you, but then you're in the room and there's people that are 10, 20 steps above you. Right. And you might not be able to even understand the concepts that they're talking about, but just being around those people shows you what's possible. And what I mean by that is they may have 7 and 8 businesses operating passively. Yeah. Right. Imagine you're doing 100, 200 fix and flip deals with little of your involvement. Imagine you're picking up 20, 30, 50 unit, 100 unit, 150 unit buildings with less of your involvement, right? You have a team. So again, that's where the power of people and proximity and creating that team, internal and external. It's next level stuff, but if you want to do it, you can do it. And most of us actually have those ingredients, because I got to be honest, I'm not that special. I am not the most intelligent person. I am not the best in shape, but going back to that, I mean, that's really important too. And I know people joke around you a little bit. I've seen it online with Tommy and whatnot. is the importance of physical health. Yeah, 100%, because you need to be able to have that energy to keep going and to do those meetups after a day of work. Yeah. So, man, there's so much to it, but don't look at it as so much. It's one thing at a time. You know, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You just gotta be a lifelong learner, and you can't just be interested. You got to be committed if you really want to grow something that's going to be wow. You'll look back someday and be like, wow, I was part of that. Thankful to be part of it. I'm continuously growing and learning. I'm so thankful for my partners in my internal team, external team, and just people like you, man, in the community that are always just there rooting us on no matter where we're at, because the reality is it's not all rainbows and sunshines.
No, no way.
No. And I don't want anyone to think that whatsoever. Like, there are things that happen that are bad, that are rough, that are hard to get through. But when you have a great team of support, you get through it together and you make it in one way or the other. You figure it out. And sometimes we jump and we don't know the answer and we're midway falling down. We got to figure that out. Yeah. Do I recommend jumping in with absolutely no idea what you're doing? No, but you're never going to know everything when you start doing something, but you got to get started, have a little bit of baseline knowledge, have some support, get some mentors, and just do it. And whether that be, hey, I'm brand new, I have limited money, what can I do to get involved in real estate? Well, hey, we got to figure a way for you to do a house hack, right? Yeah. All the way to someone who's been working for years and years in the tech business, or a doctor or an attorney, but they're too busy in their thing. I got a ton of money just sitting here deteriorating. How can I put that to work? I mean, there are so many different ways to get involved, and I am really happy to help. I will always answer anyone that messages me. I will always get back to people. One of the biggest benefits, and it's work, but I'm happy to do it, is being a team lead and a mentor, right? And because I really I have to understand where you're coming from, because not what I did will work for you, right? Yeah. Not what you did will work for someone else. Not what one of my mentors exactly will work for me, right? So I have to really understand where you're at, what your goals are and what you have to work with. And I can really put together like what I believe is as a plan for you individually. And so as far as what we look for, we can help people by if they join our team. We're actually building out and working on. Have you ever heard of like Trainial or Kajabi, like an online course type thing?
Kajabi, yes. Yep.
So I have a process right now that we're putting together a complete course and the SOPs of our business and KPIs. SOP, by the way, is a standard operating procedure, and a KPI is a key performance indicator. So what that means is knowing your numbers and what's the process behind those numbers. So by putting together educational, and as we do this business and we come across problems, we record it and we're creating that course. So how do you talk to negotiate with a seller? How do you find that seller to talk to? How do you close the deal? Right? All of that important stuff. And then all the little things behind it that are maybe important, but not as crucial, right? Like admin tasks and whatnot, building the lists. So we are actually working on that. And anyone that joins our network, we're going to give access to that. And how you can join our network is joining our team, either as an agent, investing in one of our deals, buying one of our deals. We just hadn't helped an investor that was out of state buy a deal, help them fund it, and got them all of the contracting to renovate the deal.
That's awesome,
So
man.
there's no way they could have done that without someone like us who had that in place, gave it to them because they were willing to work with us. Obviously, it's a mutually beneficial thing, right? And then the other part of it is someone who is completely passive that invests in one of our deals that might want to eventually get more active. We can bring them into that course as well. And we have mentorship and live trainings and support as well. So I think this is the way a lot of high-level investors can give back and learn. And I still do that. And what I could do is bring what I learned from people that are 6, 7, 10 times ahead of me back and learn myself, and then actually get real results. And then I only want to teach on what I know works and that I've done. So really, one of the other things I can say is just be careful on who you align with. And if they're teaching on something they haven't done, I would just be careful.
Absolutely. That's huge. Yeah. I love it, Jason. That's extremely cool, man. Yeah. I'm in the GoBundance, like with that mastermind, and they used they're changing right now, but they used Kajabi for their platform and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, man. That's extremely exciting.
Yeah, and mine isn't exactly Kajabi either, but I just as an example. And I'm sure when you go on GoBundance, right, you're meeting people that are just like blow your mind.
Oh yeah.
and it's like, wow. And what we're talking about here, and we're like, oh, this is next level for some people. What they're talking about, and we're like, what? And you're doing what? And you're taking a mobile home, and like just things that are just, And really, it's just about when I talk to my mentor, and our group is called The Boardroom. It's by Kent Clothier.
Yep.
And he's like, dude, just add a 0. What y'all doing, just add a 0, add 2. So like if y'all used to making 10 grand, 100. And let me show you, these guys over here, they're making $1 million on a deal, 10 million on a deal. And it's possible, but you have to take the steps to get there. And it's like literally like, sometimes you realize as you get to that higher level, it's actually easier once you have everything in place. I know that's crazy, but, working on a 100-unit building with the right pieces in place is easier than working on a 4-unit or a 5-unit or a 6-unit by yourself.
Yeah.
So huge stuff. Real estate will always be powerful no matter what. Everything has cycles, don't get me wrong, but you always need a place to live, always need a place to conduct business no matter what. So there's always going to be value in there. And, at the end of the day, like get started, make the call, get in the room. If you're already doing this and you feel like you're hitting a roadblock, find someone at a little bit of a higher level to see. And I was talking to a gentleman and he's like, I hit a roadblock with my business. In 15 minutes, he told me what to do, and it completely fixed my business. And I paid that guy $30,000, and that's all I needed. That 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was obviously had 3 months with him, and I had the access to the mastermind for that, but that 15 minutes was worth that 30 grand for that particular person. And I have actually seen that. I'll give you an example. Just on one thing is we learned how to do a certain marketing channel, and the cost of the program that we entered into was tens of thousands of dollars. But that channel got us a deal where we made over $80,000 that we would have never found.
Yep.
And that investment in education and networking can go far, right? Networking. So not just investing into real estate, like the actual asset, but investing in yourself, investing in people. And that's really when you that's where things get mind blowing, because I always think like this is a people business. At the end of the day, that's going to be our best investment. So when we invest into an educational program, we're investing in people. We're investing to get around other people. Yeah. And then when we invest and bring someone onto our team, we're investing in that person to do the work or to contribute financial, however way we can figure it out. But we're taking an investment too. So we're very careful on who we bring in. But I think me and Mike, we're really cool people. We have fun. And at the end of the day, like I said, the vibe finds the tribe. So all that stuff is it's just a natural progression, right? And as partnership go, here's one more key tip. You don't have to like form this partnership that's like, oh my God, we're in this forever together. Work on one deal together, right? Yeah. Work on one project together. And that's how things can grow, right? And as you're like, all right, we really work well together. We have the evidence of it. We're really growing. Then you can get into like bigger stuff and form maybe bigger companies, get bigger buildings, do more and more, create a marketing plan together, the systems and the processes and the people. But at the end of the day, you can only go so far on your own efforts. And when you partner up and team up, squad up, man, sky's the limit.
Absolutely, man. I'm right there with you, Jason. Like my biggest thing now, man, is collaboration. And like I was thinking about it, man. I'm like, before I bought Lemonster, like I had the intention then that like I'm like, all right, I'll do the house hack, I'll buy the first one. But after that, I never want to buy another 2 to 4 unit by myself. And it really got solidified the more that I did the landlord thing, spent a lot of time painting and like all that fun stuff, right? And to the point of like, once I buy Lemonster, get my feet wet, kind of get a couple stripes under my belt, I want to take the equity from that, whether it takes, 6 months, whether it takes a couple of years, whatever it might be, leverage the equity and then, start partnering up with people and doing bigger projects and stuff like that. And now like it's super solidified, man. I'm like, I don't want to buy another property by myself.
Kyle, you found a partner, right? Kyle, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you found a partner, right? I did. Right? And so, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like you can really see like, hey, I'm moving further along because of that, hopefully, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, again, like, hey, we're all learning. And sometimes, in the end of the day, really just partner up with the right people, because there are times where, hey, if for some reason it's the wrong person, right? You just want to make sure like, all right, we gave it a shot and maybe part as friends, but sometimes not everyone is meant to be partners with either. And that is really has a lot to do with your gut instincts and your vibe in the beginning. Yeah. But then even so, you can go through and realize, hey, maybe this isn't the right thing. So recently I've had that happen. And luckily, it was simple because I understood that let's work on almost like an initial basis. Right. And you let them allow you to show their true colors. And if it's not a right vibe, you just have to know how to part ways the right way too, because at the end of the day, don't be afraid to do this stuff. Like that's going to happen. That's going to happen. So you're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable to really get successful. It's not all rainbows and sunshines, like I said, but it's all worth it. And again, I just met a gentleman the other day at the meetup. He's like, I got 60 units I bought in the 90s. You think he has a worry in the world at this point? I mean, he's just like, hey, where can I don't want to work. I don't have to work. I don't have to do anything. I'm just looking for people like you that I can partner with passively. And I'm like, Hey, absolutely. I mean,
let's talk. Yeah.
Because we have assets and things that we can put your money to work.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to take money unless I had something I can give that return on. You know what I mean? So when I have deals that I know that this is a strong deal and I know this can work, but it gets capital intensive. Yeah. So the problems in the beginning, like not having that deal flow, now having so many deals, like how many of these can I want to do them all, but you only have so much bandwidth. And so what you got to do is really form those partnerships. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm very happy where I'm at. I wake up happy, and that's success to me. And am I done? Absolutely not. Am I 100%? Would I say I'm 100% fully passive? I'm not there yet. I have it set up where I know that I will be.
Yep.
And it's just going to keep on getting better and better. And anything I can do to help the community, the Kyle fans, and I don't know where the future brings us as far as our meetups and networking, but along the lines, and we can learn from someone like you, like you're doing podcasts, and this is all like new to us. So eventually we might be getting into that type of thing. So like I said, with the technology, the AI, and the post-COVID world, real estate will change, but the more it changes, the more it stays the same. So old school guys like me that grew up with antennas on the TV, no remote control, and grew up into that technology and seen it. And when I used to have to go on a computer, we used to have to type in what's called DOS. We used to have to type in a ton of stuff just to open a program. Now it's like click, 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 and it's amazing. And the amount it's progressing has just been mind-boggling to see it from my age. Born in 1977. What year were you born, Kyle?
2000.
But you know what? Doesn't matter. I think that you're in a much better position. And always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure to connect. And I look forward to maybe someday doing this again, or definitely getting into a meetup. And someday maybe we find a way to work together. But that's what it's all about.
Hell yeah. Absolutely, Jason. Thank you so much for coming on here, man. It's always a pleasure, and where on social media can you be found, my friend? I'll tag you. So you can
find me on Facebook, Jason Goldfarb. On Instagram, it's Jason Goldfarb Real Estate. My website is buynearboston.com, so anyone can find me there. That's my retail website. You can always just text me. My direct line, 978-406-9778. Anything I said here that resonates with you or you have a question, don't hesitate to reach out. And I'll tell you this, one of the things is a lot of people are thinking about that and they hesitate.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Man, we'll always answer you. We'll always get back to you. I'm open to that. Some of my mentors are like, say to me, you would be surprised at how much I let people, message me and whatnot, and I'm open, and they don't message. They don't connect.
Yeah.
And I would say, hey, get off the fence. You have a question, send it out. You want to meet up, you have a way that we can work together. I'm more than open to it, because like I said, we're all at different parts of our journey. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing to the community. Love your page, your Facebook page, and your podcast. And really just hope to connect in the future.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you so much, Jason. This is awesome, man.
That's a wrap for today's episode. We want to thank you for being a valued listener of the Creating Wealth Podcast. Make sure to visit www.creatingwealth.com to connect with us. Dive into our ever-expanding library of informative blogs and explore a wide range of additional valuable resources. Stay tuned for our next episode as we continue to create wealth together.